Welcome to the Ravenswood City School District Special Board Meeting of August 29th, 2023. I will call the meeting to order at 5:04 p.m. And we will start with roll call. Trustee Shabomian. Here. Trustee Latu. Present. Vice President Nunez. Not here. And I myself, Jenny Bloom, am present. We have quorum. So we are going to move on to item number 2, which is the approval of the agenda. Do I have any questions or comments regarding the agenda?
Regarding item 3, are we going to take comments from the floor only, or are we also going to give an opportunity for the public to comment in item 4?
Yeah, we can do both.
Yeah, I think it would be a good practice if we also gave the community, if anybody wanted to say anything regarding the candidates after their interviews.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. We will move on to item number 3, which is from the floor. So now is the time if there are any comments that the public may have regarding something that is not on the agenda. Now is the time to do so. And I see that we do not have any speaker cards, so I will move on to item number 4, which is discuss and accept questions for the interview of candidates for the Ravenswood City School District Governing Board vacancy.
Through the chair, I don't know if this is a board chair or a superintendent, but I think it would be a good idea to explain what the appointment is for the community who might be watching this after, just to offer clarity in what happened up until now and why we're going through this appointment, and the need to fill this seat.
Sure. Sure, I can. So one of our old trustees, Trustee Bronwyn Alexander, resigned effective August 25th, 2023. And so because of that, this board has 60 days from that date of notice to fill the empty seat. And we can do that through the appointment process as set in our, I believe, board bylaws. And if we do not come to a majority consensus of who fills that seat, then we can do this again. And then we have 60 days to fill that seat through the appointment process. If that does not happen, then we would have to call a special election in order to fill that seat. So this is the process that we have gone through. We put out a application that was due on August 17th. By noon. And so anyone who submitted their application and met all the criteria to be interviewed was called to come in to interview. So we are currently in that process now where we are interviewing the candidates that had completed their application by that deadline. And we will hopefully make a decision by the end of this meeting. If not, then we will move on to what the next step would be based on the board discussion and consensus.
Through the chair, I'd also like to add that our former trustee Alexander, notified us well in advance of the fact that she is going to be moving out of the area. And so we were able to advertise as well as inform the community well in advance. So there was about 2 months for individuals to be able to consider applying. And this was posted, I believe, by the end of in June.
Thank you. So I will now move on to the discussion and accepting the interview questions for the candidate.
To the chair, I have a few.
Yes.
Okay, so one of my questions that I would like to submit is, why did you apply for the school board appointment? A second question I would like to include, sorry, I'll wait. My second question would be, how would you manage a situation when you are faced with a difficult decision that is in the best interest of the district, but has community opposition? And another one would be, do you have the time in your schedule to dedicate the time to being an actively engaged school board member? And then lastly, in a few sentences, is there anything you wish us to know as we consider your candidacy? I just looked at the questions that we had here, and I thought it would be a good thing to consider these, as well as the ones that we, two former appointment candidates also experienced, just to balance it out a little bit.
Trustee Mealy, would you mind passing that down so I can make sure I have those?
Yes.
And then I'll pass it right back.
Yeah, I just ignore number 3. It was asking about finances, but I thought I'd be nice.
Yeah, through the chair, I would
Yes.
also like to, like, in the same vein as trustee Latu just mentioned, I think it's really important, right, as we see ourselves, you know, as advocates beyond Ravenswood City School District. So I'd like to ask a question with regard to like role, how people see their role in relation to regional and state and federal policymakers. So perhaps something like, how do you see your role as it relates to impacting education policy at the state level? And what policies do you feel are important to consider? Perhaps. And I think, again, I think those are similar questions like you would get if you're running. And then like another one that I think I saw everywhere, we always had to answer, is like regard to a disparity between school districts, what should be done to distribute resources more equitably? And, you know, how would you address inequities that mostly affect communities like ours or communities of color? I feel like that's important also. And then an edit on question number 4, or statement number 4, prompt number 4 rather, where it's saying summarize the strengths you would bring as a member of the board, also like the strengths and like concrete experience, like what are the, you know, that you also would bring. Is important too, especially since we're sort of, you know, we're missing someone who's got that direct experience as an educator in classrooms and schools. So.
Through the chair, yes. I didn't write it down, but on my one-on-one with Gina, I did mention a question that I would have wanted to add. Maybe when you get a chance, you can read out that question.
Trustee Sabomahin's question at the end, where it's, could you please list current activities and actions you have taken that are, I believe, serves the youth within the Ravenswood City School District. And when I think Ravenswood City School District, the boundaries of Ravenswood City School District.
Thank you. So this is a question that I have for all of us is, if we were to add all of those questions, we have over 10 questions now. So are there questions that we would like to take out? When I see question number 4, if we change that question to include strengths and experience, I think that maybe that one could combine with Trustee Latu's anything else you want us to know question. And so maybe we can just have that as one. And
Which
then
one?
number 4, if we were to take Trustee Shabomahin's addition to please summarize the strengths and experience you would bring as a member of the board, I think that we would address Trustee Latu's question, number 4th question that she had was anything else for us to know.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to make sure that we are
Yeah.
being mindful of our time
Yeah.
as well.
I think through the chair, question number one, I don't know, like, how do you see a basic purpose of public schools? That, or something, I'm looking at number one and number two, like there are pieces of them, like, why are you proud? Like, what are you proud of in the district? I'm not sure. I don't know, like, I would like to hear more about what they'd like to bring and what they'd like to accomplish. So like learning like what those priorities, if they had a platform, if they were running. Like what would that platform be built on? Like, what is it that you're like specifically trying to affect change in? And so versus like, and I'll probably want to say, what's the basic purpose of public schools? Like something like that is less,
Important.
yeah,
Okay.
perhaps.
I agree.
Through the chair,
Yes.
can I propose to mix 1 and 2 and instead replace it with trustee Lawson's question about why are you, the first one that you said, why are you applying?
Where are you going?
Yeah, whatever the first question that trustee Lawson.
Why did you apply for the school board appointment?
Yeah, I agree. On axing 1 and 2.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that we are going to take out question 1 and 2. We will add in trustee Latu's, why did you apply for the school board appointment? And I think that maybe we can also move the trustee Shabomihin's, how do you see your role as it impacts education policy at the state level, federal level? Sorry, the region, I'm trying to remember because I didn't finish writing it all out.
How do you see your role as it relates to impacting education policy at the state level?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
maybe that can be, so then that would be 1, 2.
And then that, like, I just want to make sure we're getting some specific examples too. So in the number one, like, why are you running? Like, again, like, what's that platform? What are you trying to change? And or you can get it from here, like, what in ed policy are you trying to also impact? Just to get a sense of, understanding of ed policy challenges in the educational space and then like priorities.
Also through the chair, just for the candidates, after we'll go through the question, we'll ask the superintendent to go through the questions that we're actually going to ask as we are kind of jumping from question to question, just in case you're not writing this down as we go.
And through the chair, I can also make sure maybe in between, you just give a few minutes and I can print them out so all trustees have a copy and so will our candidates.
Okay.
Through the chair, with question number 3, I think it kind of pairs well with the question number 2 that I had asked about managing a situation with difficult decisions that are in the best interest. And the outcome that I want to see with this is individual. I want to know more about the candidate and how they're going to be able to address difficult conversations and difficult decisions when it comes internally within our district as well as community. So if we could find a way to combine the question that's here on the interview questions number 3 and then with the number 2 that I had suggested.
Okay. Let's see.
So number 2 is, or the number 2 question you suggested, trustee Latu, is how would you manage the situation when you how do you manage a situation you are faced with when you are faced with a difficult situation that is in the best interest of the district but has community opposition?
Yeah.
I feel like that question is very different than question number 3. So I think that we should either keep both or take one out. I would like to keep that in because it goes to the communication piece, right? Like, who do we communicate and how do we communicate? But I'm also fine with taking it out. I'm looking at question. Sorry, I'm going to jump, but I think that we should include your question, which is number. So that would be 1, 2, and then trustee Latu's question of how do you manage a decision that is best for the district, but unpopular in the community, or the way that you phrased it, can be number 3. And then I'm reading number 5, and that's very similar to the policy question that Trustee Shabomaheen raised. So I'm wondering if we take number 5 out and keep Trustee Shabomaheen's question like we were planning on for number 2. I don't know. I have 2 questions out there. I know that I jumped around. So my 2 questions are, the first one is, do we need to keep number 3 if we keep the manage a decision question? And then do we need to keep number 5?
Through the chair.
Mhm.
Okay, for number 1, if we kept it at why'd you apply? Because then that'll give us a basis of character from the candidate. We jump to the policy question in number 2. Also, it's a role question as well. And then we jump to number 3, which is the current number 3. What would you do if you believe administrators had not provided you? Because then this would give you kind of a platform in, the potential candidates' decision-making.
Mhm.
And then the second question I asked about managing a situation, it's kind of a 3B.
Yeah.
So if we go 3, the current 3 on the list, number 4 is the question that I wanted to add.
Mhm.
And then we take out number 5 because I feel like it'll be addressed in both 3 and 4.
That makes sense.
So through the chair, it makes sense. I actually, I can go either way, but I actually kind of like question 5. At least the first part of it, because it'll speak to whether they are paying attention to current board items.
That's good.
Whereas if we take it out, we don't know if they're just going to. But I can vote.
If we keep 5, I would like to pull it up. So I'd like to go 1, why did you apply for the board? 2, how do you see your role? 5, and then go to Trustee Latu's, how do you manage a decision that's best? And then number 3 here, and then go summarize strengths and weakness, and then what questions when I think about flow.
I think that sounds good. If I'm keeping track of everything right now, they're keeping up with everything. I'm wondering if we're missing a question about budget or financial concerns or ideas, because I feel like that's always everywhere too, just to get a sense of understanding about this district's budget and then potential, ideas concerning those challenges or non-challenges, opportunities. And I also wonder, and this might not be our area, but I'm feeling like when you're running, pretty much everything's transparent and like open, and you got to tell all your business. And I'm wondering if there's something that we might need to understand around potential conflicts of interest or not. And so like I said, I don't know if we need to know that or not, but I'm just remembering like in all those applications being like, I work here and I do this, and you know what I'm saying? So you had to put it in, so the public had to know. So I don't know if we want to go there or not, just bringing it up.
To answer your second question first, we have the brief introduction about yourself, and we also have their applications that are also a public record that we all read, and I think they put in where they work and that. So we can ask them to include that in their intro. And then regarding the budget one, I wonder if we should bring in the disparity question. Would that answer that? Would that address that portion of it? Or is there a specific, because I know Trustee Latu had a financial question that she said she was gonna not
I'm good from there.
Yes.
Okay, it's getting way too technical.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm good from there. Thank you.
okay.
I'm sorry, what was the last? Are we going to add another question?
So if we add the disparities question,
I didn't write that down actually, Tam. Trustee Subramanian.
I wrote half of it down, so I don't know if I could remember.
yeah, it was sort of a 2-in-1 where it was talking about like basically how, like, what would you want to do to address inequities that mostly affect communities of color? And then with regard to disparity between school districts, what do you think should be done to more equitably distribute resources? Which,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I need to.
you want this again?
Yeah,
We don't have to ask it all, but
yeah, through the chairs, it's a question the trustees would like to.
Through the chair, so we don't have any questions, I think.
Yeah, so far, if we add that last question, it will be 7. There will be 7 questions.
And I just want to make sure, I was trying to write down in order, but we still have the question about the strengths and
yes,
involvement.
yes.
Okay,
That's the 7th question.
perfect, thank you.
Superintendent Sudaria, do you mind just reading the
Yeah.
questions out for us in the order
Yeah.
that we?
Let me just get this last one down.
Through the chair, would it be, actually, we can do it, but after the superintendent announces it, would we be able to go into a 5-minute recess so that we can get the printed order
Yes,
before we begin? Thank you.
that was the plan. Yeah.
All right. So the candidates would provide brief introduction about themselves and potentially share, if there's any conflict of interest, but definitely share a little bit of background about themselves. And then the first question is, why did you apply for the school board appointment? How do you see your role as it relates to impacting education policy at the state level? What policies do you feel are important to consider? The third question, identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal value and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue. 4, how would you manage a difficult situation that is in the best interest of the district but has community opposition? 5, what would you do if you believed administrators had not provided you with accurate and complete information for making the decision? How would you be able to address difficult conversations? Does that second part still stand? That question? Should I keep going first?
Yes.
6, with regard to disparity between school districts, what should be done to distribute resources more equitably? 7, the last question. Please summarize the strengths you would bring as a member of the board and share current concrete experiences impacting the youth within this Ravenswood City School District.
And then the last one was any questions for us, correct?
Through the chair, in the
Yes.
question, about like telling us why you want to run or talking about yourself. Did it ask for a specific call out of like strengths that they're bringing? I can't remember. Specific strengths they're bringing to this board that we have right now.
No, that's at number 7.
That's in number 7. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any questions or comments regarding that? It's a lot of questions, so I want us to be sure that we're good with that. And if we're not, then we should think about what we would cut.
Well, through the chair, should we also give a time limit? So that way it's, for a question. per person. Yeah.
It's through the chair. I don't know if I would give a time limit per question, but we can give the time limit for the interview. And they can manage however long or short they want to answer each question.
That works if we're okay with like, yeah, after the interview, like if the duration of the interview is, they're not done and we're like, yep, that was the amount, we're ready to cut you off, even though we're at number 2. If we're okay with that, then yeah, we don't need to give a permit. Yeah.
Through the chair, from my understanding, there was communication that each candidate would get 20 minutes. So we could always set the timer at 20. And I'll notify them when it's 5 and then when it's 1 minute.
Okay. I think that that's fine. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking like. I think maybe at like 2, we should maybe jump to the last question no matter what. So I feel like we need to pick one of the last questions. Like I think that there should be at least, I would like to know the number 7, which is to summarize the strengths and experiences. Right. And so I think if there's only 2 minutes left, that we should say there's only 2 minutes left, we would like you to answer this last question. So I just want to do that. Is that fine? Yeah. Okay.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Would there be a way? Would there be a way to display? So that way they're how much time for them and not. Yeah, 20 minutes. 20 minutes.
So I can potentially do that. I can manage that. If possible, or wherever you need to be.
Okay. Great.
Through the chair, can I just share the first part and make sure we have the language right? Briefly introduce yourself and share any pertinent information you would like, or any pertinent information you would like to share about yourself in relation to the board. I know there was some, a trustee wanted to speak to whether or not there's conflict of interest. Or is it just briefly introduce yourself? Okay. All right.
Maybe if we wanted to address, I think if we wanted to address the potential conflict of interest, I think that was what that question was. So briefly introduce yourself and let us know if you, or I don't know, not let us know. If you know of any conflict of interest, please share now during this question. That way that we're saying that.
And they can share, because this is a small town.
Right,
We know everyone,
right.
just to clarify that.
Yeah.
But I think in my idea, in what I thought about that question was, is there a conflict of interest with any organizations that's currently partnering with the district?
Yeah.
Included that.
Yes. And then just point of like how we want to ask the questions. Do we all just want to ask? Okay. Okay, great. So why don't we take a 5-minute break?
Through the chair.
Wait,
Sorry.
Okay.
At this time, the candidates it's a public board meeting, so candidates can remain in the boardroom, or we can ask the candidates voluntarily to wait in a conference room while each candidate is being interviewed. And so I wanted to know what you would like to ask the candidates to do. They can either remain, it's more of an offering to either remain in the public setting or to wait in the conference room, but it is the choice of the candidates.
I think that whatever they choose. So superintendent has shared the options, so you guys can choose how you would like to do that. And then order of candidate. Sorry. Yes, was there another comment?
I was just wondering, our
There's also COVID.
But that way, I just feel that's the fair way to do it. From any, it doesn't matter where we go in, if you're listening to the other person, then you're more likely to change your culture, or better your own. Decided not to like fairness, and maybe they're not all in terms that way everyone can get it.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then did we want to pick the order? I don't know. Or should we just, whatever's. Okay.
One candidate is still,
In
I believe,
traffic.
stuck in traffic on university.
We'll just choose one of the other two. Okay, so we'll take a 5-minute recess and then come back with the question.
We also go in alphabetical order.
Sorry. So we are going, it is 5:35 and we are going to take a 5-minute recess. We'll be back at 5:40.
Mic check, check, check.
Welcome back to the Ravenswood City School District Special Board Meeting. I will now call us back to order at 5:48 p.m. We are going to go ahead and start with our first candidate, who is Samuel. And I'm looking for your last name. I'm sorry. Tavera, Samuel Tavera. So welcome. And I will start with the first question, and then we will go on, and we will start the timer, I guess, after I read the first question, because that'll be just to be fair for everybody. And yes, and so you'll have a full 20 minutes. And when there's only 18 minutes left, if we haven't gotten through all the questions, we are going to jump to question number 7 for you to answer. So I will go ahead and start, which is briefly introduce yourself, and if you are aware of any conflicts of interest with any organization that is currently partnering with the district. Thank you.
First and foremost, good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Also extremely nervous. I don't think I interview well, but we're gonna give our best shot. My name is Samuel Tavera. I have been a resident of East Palo Alto for 31 years. Been here basically my whole life. Got married in 2018, left for 1 year, and then came right back after that. I work for a local nonprofit in East Palo Alto called One East Palo Alto. I am the administrative operations manager. I used to work in programming, but now moved behind the scenes. And the only conflict of interest, maybe, I know our organization has worked with the district for many years with the Behavioral Health Advisory Group Ambassador Team at RMS. They've been off-site for the past couple of years, but that is a partnership that we have in supporting behavioral health with our communities.
So why did you apply for the school board appointment?
As a almost lifelong resident of East Palo Alto, I've been rooted in here. I've grew up here. I go to church here. This is my home. And like I said, work for a nonprofit organization. And I have always been taught to serve my community, others, my church. There's a saying that in Spanish that was taught to me by my grandmother, by my mother, and it's el que no sirve, no sirve. And it roughly translates to those who don't know how to serve, they don't have a good function. And I've always been intrigued with public policy, community. When I was in college, I was majoring in political science. I did an internship with Assemblyman Gordon back in 2016. And I've always seeked for ways to get back into my community. And I think that's why I've stayed in the nonprofit sector as long as I have. For those that serve in nonprofits or work with nonprofits, you don't do it for the money because there's more money elsewhere. You do it because it's the work of the heart. And that's something that my boss has taught us. My mentor taught me when she was training me up, Dr. Faye, who's no longer here with me. She would always tell me, like, you're always going to serve our community. I know it. And I don't think if selected tonight, that would be fulfillment, but just a continuing of serving our community. Now I can serve. I also applied because I am a father of 2. I have a 3-year-old girl who I love so much and a 2-month-old. And I'm soon going to be the future as far as a community voice for parents of our community, because my kids will, Lord willing, be going to schools here in East Palo Alto. And I want to make sure that our schools are a place where parents like myself and parents of our community want to send our kids. Because for many years, there's been this misguided perception of this work that you all do. And I firmly believe that you all are doing great work and you do it with your best intentions. But for many years, the perception of our community has not been that. And I feel it's been an uphill battle for the board, but I am applying so I can be that voice for our parents, for our community, because I want Ravenswood to be a place where I send my kids and other parents send their kids.
Next question. Hey, Sam. Is how do you see your role as it relates to impacting education policy at the state level? What policies do you feel are important to consider?
Well, if selected, and And even if not selected, I feel that I'm community leader because I serve my community and I'm involved in our community. And you all are community leaders that our community see as leaders. And being leaders, being community leaders, being appointed to positions to serve, whether elected or appointed, you have that sphere of influence that matters, that can be used and should be used for the betterment of those that we serve, for our community, for our children, our parents. More specifically, myself, when I think about this, the biggest things that pop up to my mind is using my sphere of influence as a board member and likewise as a team, as a collaborative, because if I was appointed, we would be working together, not divided. It wouldn't be Samuel's agenda, but it would be how can we collaborate and work together to use our influence to make policy change at a state level. And something that pops into mind is advocating for more resources around mental health and behavioral health for our children. Those are things that we can advocate for more funding, from our state representatives, that our students need more services regarding mental health situations, regarding behavioral health situations. And we can use that voice of influence to work with policymakers so that our students get that representation.
Thank you for that response. And thank you for being here. Thank you
you.
for all that you do in the community and for considering this position.
Thank you, Tim.
Yes. All right. Ready?
Yes.
Please identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal value and beliefs to determine how to vote on that issue.
Thank you for that. So I know a few things that come to mind. First and foremost, you have all been working on affordable housing projects for our teachers, and I think that is an excellent decision to be made. And also recently, the board, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was February, we're working with the Teachers Association to give this the teachers, what was it, a 4% raise across the board. And then, from what I've read and kept up with it, that number 4% can go up to like 8%, depending on what the funding looks like at the state level. But that constant investment in our teachers, the teachers that are working with our students, I think that's something that you are all, working on, advocating for, and making decisions around. That is really important, because if we don't pay our teachers, there are other districts that will pay them, because we have talented teachers in this district, and we want to make sure that we keep talent here and not let talent leave out the door. And so those are decisions that you all are making, I believe, for the investment of our teachers, and that will benefit our students. As far as the balancing the community concerns, student needs, I don't know if, let me just quickly read this over again. Sorry, it's a long one. As far as voting on issues, I think we always have, as far as myself, I think we always have to look beyond the moment, because in the heat of the moment and seeing our community, people will have different opinions all the time of whether you vote for one way or another. There was going to be someone who's not happy with what you voted for. But looking beyond the moment, and also making sure that checking between a heart choice and a head choice, because oftentimes we can make decisions because of what our heart says, but also, taking that pause and checking our heart sometimes, and thinking with our head, and always looking to see at the end of the day, what's the best for our community outside of what I believe or what our, community believes, and how can we better, serve our students is what I would say.
Thank you very much. So we're going to move on to question number 4, which is, how would you manage a difficult situation that is in the best interest of the district, but has community opposition?
I think I merged maybe a little bit of the two in the past one, but again, at the end of the day, I don't know if every decision I make, if appointed, is going to please everyone. But the word of the Lord, because I'm a firm believer, I grew up in the church, and Isaiah speaks about reasoning together. and whether it's in discourse or decision making. And as a board together, if appointed and serving alongside, I would be a contemporary. We'd be working together, and it wouldn't be me versus you, it would be us together. And it's how can we reason together with our community, about the decisions that we're making, whether it's having conversations with our community, coffee talks, whatever it is, but reasoning together and really hearing their input and our input as well. And so they can understand, what decisions we're making and why we feel that it's best suited at that time or place. Because making, especially with community opposition, having difficult conversations and hearing, people who are not agreeing with you is not always easy, and finding ways to work together and not divided.
What would you do if you believed administrators had not provided you with accurate and complete information for making a decision? And how would you be able to address difficult conversations?
I would try to find what areas of support or what resources are available to me as a board member. As far as before I make any decision, if that meant, maybe tabling an item or abstaining from a vote, but more for the reason of I'd like to talk to maybe, our legal team or get more information. And I would hopefully, ask for more information regarding like data, let the numbers drive the work and decisions that we're making, because, data tells stories, data, we're very data driven in the nonprofit sector, and, numbers don't lie, and numbers, help us push to do the work that we need to do.
Number six, yeah. With the regard to disparity between school districts, what should be done to distribute resources equitably?
I think, again, if appointed to a position like this, working together, using our sphere of influence as decision makers for policy, as decision makers for our district, but seeking to address the disparities from the top down. And be intentional about, addressing disparities from the top down. And that means representation at the district level, as far as, who works in district offices, that we be diverse, and that we see who's missing at the table when we're hiring district officials, when we're hiring teachers, who's missing, who's not being represented as a population. I know East Palo Alto now today is predominantly Hispanic, but, Hispanics don't only live in East Palo Alto. We have African-American communities, our Tongan and Samoan communities are here. We have so many, and that has to be represented at the district level with our teachers, with even the yard duties that work with our students, with even the janitors that we hire, all these things, so that they can see that they're represented, that there's a place for them.
Thank you. Please summarize the strengths you would bring as a member of the board, sharing current concrete experiences impacting the youth within the Ravenswood City School District boundaries.
Again, I want to reiterate to my introduction that I'm a parent, and my children very soon will be going to school. And like I said, I want to make this place a place where parents like myself want to send their kids. So first and foremost, I'm going to be a voice of a parent, whether I'm appointed, today or not. I'm going to be advocating for the rights that my children will have. And I think about my mother because, and I'll be honest, I didn't go to schools here in East Palo Alto. And I've mentioned that in my application because I want to be transparent. I was a part of the Tinsley program. And so every morning I would leave, to school outside of here. And it was very hard for someone like myself to make it because of the situations that we were going through. And so why am I bringing this up? Because I have lived experiences, as a student with barriers who struggle to overcome situations like that. And so in the heart of making decisions, if I sit on this board, I'll think of myself as a young kid who dealt with not having lunch at school, being tired, and not performing. And I mentioned that because those are lived experiences that our students have today. That are dealing with. And when I make decisions, I'm going to think of that young Samuel Tavera who was going to school outside of here, but was struggling. And I'm going to think about our kids that are struggling through the same issues today. as far as decision making, so but as far as what else I bring to the table, I am an involved community member in East Palo Alto. I'm involved in my church. I currently serve as our youth pastor, where I help to mentor young people from the ages of 14 until they get married. But beyond that, I participate in our Sunday school program. So I teach our younger children, from the age of like 4 up to when they become high school. I'm heavily involved in teaching and training our students and working with parents and counseling parents, spiritually counseling parents because they're going through tough situations. In the work that we do at One East Palo Alto, again, I mentioned that I used to work on the programming side, but now I'm on the administrative side, behind the scenes. But last year we had a need because we have a partnership with the high school here, East Palo Alto Academy High School, and we run a substance abuse prevention awareness initiative with our students, and we didn't have staff, to do that. And I used to work on that programming aspect, so I was helping to fulfill that need because our students in our community have those needs. So I was there at the schools working with substance abuse prevention awareness initiatives, and promoting, and speaking to students and providing safe places for our students. To let them know about the harmful effects that drugs have. And we're in conversations with One East Palo Alto about having those conversations, even earlier, because these things are affecting our students earlier. Back when I was a student, it was normal for these issues to affect high schoolers, but these issues are now affecting our younger children. And just very involved in my community, through and through. And I've chosen that purposefully, intentionally, because I care about my community. I've been raised to serve, and that's what I do.
Thank you so much. You do have time left. So we have this last question, which was, what questions do you have for the board to help you prepare to take on this commitment if chosen?
Thank you for that. And I know for the sake of time, because there's 5 of you standing before me, but to the elected officials that are here, I think the question that I most have was if I were to be appointed, today, and if I was to work with you all, as contemporaries working together, what would be your piece of advice to me? Maybe something that you wish someone would have told you when you first took that seat and took that oath.
Through the chair, yeah, I don't have a fully thought out response, but I do have, fragmented thoughts. And I think I'll share that it's challenging. It's challenging because you care. I think anyone doing this work cares, right? They care about the work and they want to get it right. And sometimes it's not apparent what's right. And so I would just want people to know that coming in, to just understand that will be something you carry on your shoulders always. You'll have intentions that not everyone can see or know. It won't be public. Someone might think the opposite of what you're really actually trying to do. Again, thinking about how you balance a district's and institution's priorities with its mission and goals to serve students with what the public might think or want. It's very difficult. And it's a big task of anyone. And so I would just suggest stay centered on your values, like that passion you have for why you're here applying now, hold on to that. And just act as your center, your north, as you go through those challenging moments. But that is something to note. But it's also very rewarding work and it's fun. But it's heavy as well.
Thank you, Tam.
Absolutely, Sam.
Through the chair, I think there's 2 big things that stand up, and I'll try to cap this in 20 seconds. The first thing would be to learn as much information as you can on what it is to be a board member, from board policy, decorum, and how we hold meetings and the things that you need to know. So staying rooted with the superintendent. The second thing is you share a part of yourself when you're on this board. And so you have a certain part of you that is in the public more often. And so just growing thick skin and knowing that you are doing the best that you can, even though, it's not always rainbows and sunshine.
Through the chair, I would say that you don't know what you don't know. And so one thing that I for sure learned is sometimes it's really easy from the outside looking in, like, why would they do that? It doesn't make sense. But there's so many things that happen behind closed door that the public isn't privy to that can affect and guide, and you just don't know what you don't know until you know everything, right? And then as a parent myself, I was told it was 2 meetings a month. And it's definitely not just 2 meetings a month. So I would warn your spouse or your partner about the time commitment, because I have a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and it does pull you away from home. You might miss a bunch of nap times and sleep times, and just be ready to lean on your community in order to make things right at home and be able to serve students and the district.
Everything that they said. So I think the big thing is you don't know what you don't know, but you have lots of resources to be prepared to know what you know, or what you don't know, and to ask a lot of questions to the people that are a resource to you. So our superintendent, our staff, and going through that. I think the other big thing is to find a support system, because I think that outside of even just the district, to know who your support system is. And sometimes that's your spouse. Sometimes those are your community members. Those are the people you work with, but whatever that is, to find that support system, to have people that believe in you and encourage you and cheer on the work that you're doing and not just criticize the work that you're doing.
Thank you for that.
Yes,
Right on time.
right on time.
Thank you.
So-
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do we want to spend time talking after each interview, or do we want to wait till all the interviews are finished? Because it's A and B, so we could go 5A, 5B for each, or we should finish all of 5A and then do 5B. Okay. Okay. I just needed to think out loud to make sure we're going.
Through the chair, do we know if the third applicant has?
I can ask the superintendent when she comes back in.
But if not, we can just put that person on.
Are you asking about the box? Oh, she is here. The third applicant is here.
Through the chair, can you
Yes.
explain the box system for
The
each
type of-
candidate? Okay, I didn't know if it was like we're voting and putting it on.
I just.
Okay,
No, no,
okay.
So the third candidate is here, correct?
Correct. They're gonna be the other candidate can go, so I thought I.
Should we,
Through the chair, was the order already determined? Just one.
well, because there was only two and we did like a flip of the coin, so we could do a flip of the coin for the,
Sure.
okay, so,
Whoever it lands on. I'll
Wait.
put-
so who is happening?
I'm about to,
Yes, let them know that we're gonna do a flip of the coin, just to be fair.
I'll do
Sure.
tails for the third candidate because of the tails in the middle
Okay,
and be heads. So whoever it lands on
it will be the next
will be the
person.
next person.
Okay,
And you're my witness. And it landed heads, so we will be doing Mr. Moody.
okay. It landed for Mr. Moody. So he's next. Huh? No, he's coming. Yeah. Yes. We are currently live. Can we ask him to join us now? Or if not, we will have to skip this interview and move on to the next one.
Before you read it.
Oh, before I read the question, I was trying to be fair. Yeah, I know. I just didn't want to. Now it's, we could have just started the 20 minutes. I mean, if he doesn't come in by, I don't know, because we don't have them.
Can I ask a question? It's not even
Sure.
related. I'm wondering how Brown trustee Alexander made it. All good?
I think she did make it.
Hey.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hello, Miss Moody.
Hello.
Welcome.
Trustees, thank
Okay.
you.
So you will have 20 minutes for the interview and we will try to get through all the questions. If we do not get through all the questions at the 2-minute mark, we will ask you question number 7. And the timer will start after I read the first question. So briefly introduce yourself and if you are aware of any conflict of interest with any organization that is currently partnering with the district.
So, hi, my name is Larry Moody. I'm a resident of East Palo Alto. I'm a alumni parent of the Ravenswood City School District, former trustee of the Ravenswood City School District, 2004 through 2008. I have 4 sons, 3 of them attended Ravenswood. And that was my initial introduction into the school district. As a parent, my wife and I were very active with the Castano Elementary School. Then from Castano, we actually began this involvement throughout the districts to help support all the district schools. At that time, there were 8 schools here at Ravenswood. I think we had 4,400 students. The conflict piece is, I would have to look and see where our partnerships lie, because as a former elected, I know a lot of organizations, individuals, but I don't know who's doing business with the district at this time. One of the things that you certainly have become aware of is that there are a lot of different industries that are involved with public education, right? And they come in a lot of different ways on the facility side, the curriculum side, the Williams Act, right? There's just a lot of people who show up and they make this whole public education boat float. So I don't know if there's any conflicts. I am involved with some organizations, presently employed with job training. I serve as an employment specialist there. And but we see ourselves as a partner with the district in terms of helping to support the mission statement here. I don't know if that would be viewed as a conflict. There's no monetary exchanges that occur. I'll just stop there.
Okay, so for the first question, why did you apply for the school board appointment?
Well, I'm like many here in the community that heard that there was going to be a need to fill a vacancy. And I had the pleasure of hearing from some of you about that vacancy, and from 2 points. One, have you ever thought about coming back? And two, are there any other individuals in the community that you can recommend, right, to consider coming forward? And I took both of those tasks to heart. I actually went around the community and talked to 4 individuals who I thought would be great additions to the trustee board, and all 4 of them opted not. I also personally just believe that my sphere of influence and experience working in public education would add value to today's Ravenswood. I keep using that term around town. Today's Ravenswood has been quite different in the present board configuration, and the superintendent and her executive team are a big part of that. I like the direction, the tone, and as a result, things lined up for me to see, to begin thinking about, do I have time to do it? And I believe, yes. Do I have some value added to the present board? And I think, yes. Do I endorse the present board of trustees? I think I voted and supported all 4 of you. I know I did, right? And so, but what I see presently, when you approved the raise for RTA, when you took the district through that confirmation of value, that the teachers were of value and that they need to be prioritized, that was a strong statement, right? Not only for the community, but for the teachers who oftentimes really desire to be here, but it's hard with the cost of living and the other factors that come into play, and also the recruitment that takes place in neighboring districts for Ravenswood teachers and personnel. When that was able to happen, I knew that, and I've always been a supporter of your superintendent, but I knew that this thing was moving in the right direction and there was going to be some changes in the way we seek outcomes for our sons and daughters in Ravenswood.
Hey, Larry. My next question is, how do you see your role as it relates to impacting education policy at the state level? And what policies do you feel are important to consider?
Okay. So on the state level, not the county, right? Not the local, state. So the challenge I have with the state is that, one, we don't participate as a state in national initiatives. For example, when President Obama, launched the Race to the Top initiative as a way of improving public education in our state, and with the guarantee that if you did make those improvements as a state, the federal government would usher in a ton of money and support to help support local education. It's right around the time where across the nation, President Obama and Jeffrey Canada were talking about the Promised Neighborhood initiatives, which I really applaud you for begin thinking about that as part of one of the tools that you would consider using as you go on forward. But so the fact that the state does not participate in teacher assessment and evaluations has always been a challenge for me personally and professionally, because Ravenswood oftentimes had teachers that we couldn't move, who were just in our system because of, I forget the name of the term, but they had a legacy, right, agreement with the state that would even though we knew teachers weren't performing well, they needed professional coaching, they needed development, they just weren't, their students weren't making the mark. It was very difficult for us to move them. And I think that continues to be a problem in the state of California, especially in communities of color, right? And then the fact that we oftentimes are not able to compete for teachers who come out of the educational institutions with high rankings. We oftentimes don't get a even crack at those teachers, and they oftentimes land in more wealthy communities. And I think the other thing I would say about the state, you know, a community like East Palo Alto, Ravenswood, where we have a responsibility with our special education students. And it's equally important that we're able to pull in individuals that can help us with the, can you help me here? What's it? IEPs? The IEPs. The IEPs are critical. They kept us in program improvement for 17, 18, almost 20 years, right? Because the IEPs couldn't get transcripted at 100%. We had a federal monitor here on the campus for, it seemed like forever, right? But it hindered us in our ability to, one, educate those students and allow them to take their IEPs and move to the next level. And two, to get certified as a district that was educating their children. Because oftentimes, my understanding was the people who were doing the transcribing didn't have the correct dialect for the students or the families that they were working with. So if the state could do something to help us, one, to train individuals that can help communities like Ravenswood with IEP, right? The actual activity of the IEP, so that they don't get kicked back for another year, that would be a huge gain. I don't know if we still have, but we're out of program improvement, right? But so part of the journey has been completed, and that's good news. But,
Thank you for that response.
okay.
Please identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal value and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
So 3 and 4 sound a lot very similar to me in terms of the question. Take a number 3. I've just been a big fan of the facility improvement, right? I mean, it demonstrates once again that we have our priorities set, right? That no one can come here and say, the reason why I'm not sending my son or daughter to a Ravenswood school is because the facilities are not up to par. Our facilities, especially now with the new proposal that's online that this board approved, will allow our families to look and see that there is value, right, in the facilities that we offer. You don't have to go anywhere else to find comparable facilities. The approval of the flood project, the way this district, right, just was on the right side of the conversation and stayed the course, that it caused a ripple effect, especially with the policymakers, to realize that, you know, we are a school district and we have the same ability and rights as any other school district to develop our land, right? And no local entity can tell us, right, that we can't. I remember one year there was a condo project, a condominium housing project right in between Menlo Oaks and Willow Oaks School, right? It was like 32 families there. So they opted and went to the county to say, we don't want our sons and daughters to go to Ravenswood, even though they purchased knowing that Ravenswood was the district. And then they were able to get support. They came here. We said, no, what, you don't want your kids to go to school with our kids, right? You moved there knowing that that was the case. Then they went to the county, and the county approved their ability to gerrymander or to move into the Menlo Park district. Right. I think that was a lesson learned, that when we have the opportunity to develop or figure out what's best for our district, that we need to forge ahead without the optics of the neighboring communities' approval.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to move on to the next question, but I just also want you to be mindful of the time. So
I'll make them shorter.
yes. So number 4 is, how would you manage a difficult situation that is in the best interest of the district, but has community opposition?
You have to vote. At the end of the day, right? I mean, that's part of what we signed up for, right? What's best for the district and what's best for the community. And up or down, you have to vote. It just challenges my spirit when people abstain, right? I mean, you were not elected to abstain. Vote up or down, right? And be, and I think you have a responsibility to share with the public on why you're voting the way you're voting. And then you move to the next agenda item.
All right, question 5. What would you do if you believed administrators had not provided you with accurate and complete information for making a decision? And how would you be able to address difficult conversations?
So one of the things I've learned over the years is the importance of working with the leadership that's in place. And that's the superintendent of the Ravenswood City School District. The superintendent is evaluated and directed by the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees, you do not have a role or responsibility to direct employees of the district. So all my concerns I've learned over the years will go to the superintendent. That's why I think those one-on-one conversations are critically important, and to allow the superintendent to make a case for my concerns. Yeah.
The next question is, with the regard to disparity between school districts, what should be done to distribute resources equitably?
So one of the things you talk about on the state level that really challenges the communities of color is Proposition 13. When they changed the laws Proposition 13 used to be it's pretty much a real estate tax, and they would do an assessment on your real estate, right, to make a determination on the state allocation to a community. So when they approved Proposition 13, they said, take the value of your real estate off the table. Everyone's going to get a dollar for dollar on ADA, right? So a student in a classroom in Menlo Park, right, would afford the same dollar amount from the state as a student here in Ravenswood. Therein the problem lies, right? Because those communities of wealth have more resources to do those other things that help support school districts. One of the reasons why we started the Ravenswood Educational Foundation. And I don't know if you know that about me, but I was one of the point persons to bring that REF as I was the director of local ministry at Menlo Park Presbyterian Church. We introduced this concept of what they have over there are foundations that can raise monies, that can create a new pathway outside of the general fund of the board to do creative things. And I think REF has been in place for almost 20 years. I mean, And
At least, well, not 20, but when I was a principal, so
yeah, a minute, right?
2008.
And it's brought millions of dollars, right? Cash dollars and time and talent and resources to the district. It's been a tremendous relationship. And so I think Proposition 13, as well as supporting REF are two ways in which we can try to level the playing field.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Last question.
Please summarize the strengths you would bring as a member of the board, sharing current concrete experiences impacting the youth within the Ravenswood School District boundaries.
Well, I'm affirming the fact that I've been a four-time elected official in this community. I've had 20 years of public service. I've hopefully have gained a reputation as a collaborator, someone that can work well in groups and try to be clear about the mission of the organization. The unique thing about being a part of a body of five is that you're only strong as your weakest link. So we all have we have a sense of value to bring to the organization, to the table. And then the final statement I would make is that's why it's important to understand what the strategic goals are for the district. And I think any retreat setting allows that to occur and to have clear understanding of the priorities of the district. So.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moody. We only have 20 seconds left, so I'm going to go ahead and end there. And then we will move on to the next candidate and then stand by.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Hi, Ariel.
Sitting or standing or?
Sitting is good.
Okay, start a little prepared here.
So we are going to, you have 20 minutes for the interview. I believe you have the list of the interview questions. So what we're going to do is we are going to ask all the questions. I will start and we will go one by one. When we only have 2 minutes left, we are going to definitely ask number 7.
Okay.
If we didn't get there, but hopefully we can get there within the 20 minutes. And so the timer will start after I read the first question.
Okay.
So briefly introduce yourself and if you are aware of any conflict of interest of any organization that is currently partnering with the district.
First of all,
Yes, go ahead.
okay, my name is Ariel Tinajero. I live in Bell Haven. I've been around in a neighborhood and also in East Palo Alto. It was first of all my first home when I came to this country. Immigrant, I was an immigrant and I came in 1995. College through some of my education and always perceive that I believe education is important and is still updating myself in whatever I needed to do in order to be growing, to be a better mom and get, better in my community. I have a daughter, she's in college. And I've been, be part of in my community, helping in different things, and not only, I work in the city of Menlo Park for 14 years, but I've been part of when my daughter was little, in the school, I was part of the committee for 6 years. And also, in 2007, I was part of the Bell Haven, and the Family Connection. And that's where I get involved with the parents and families. and I get involved in with the teachers and supporting, some other area, with the teachers and make sure that, they get some support. So that's when I really realized about the public education, a little bit about, I still continue from, in one way or another, serve my community because the work I'm doing every day is related connecting the community. I work in a senior center and I've been doing it for 14 years. And I still connecting the Menlo Park, in East Palo Alto. So I serve the seniors and providing their healthy meals, providing active, I motivate people to just keep a good life. I think is very, very important. And I believe in that. So I think is one of the reasons that I apply for that is just to give it back to my community. Yeah.
So question number 1 is, why did you apply to the school board appointment?
Yeah. So, I think I get motivated because I get a lot from this community. My daughter is in college and I always been asking to do it. And, and we're friends, they said, oh, you'd be good to apply. You should really apply. And I said, well, I really want, if I do it, I really want to do it from my heart. I know this is a serious matter because whatever decisions we take, it will impact the community. So for me, it's not just to do it because, okay, we'll see, it's another number. No, it's important for me. So if I do it, I would take it seriously because I know what it means. Yeah.
Next question is, how do you see your role as it relates to impacting education policy at the state level? What policies do you feel are important to consider?
I think the teachers, parents, you really in general, because it's all together, whatever decisions you do, whatever you do in your education, is impacting everyone. We cannot say, oh, it's just, some members or some people. It is whatever decision you taking is gonna be, those policies is gonna be impact. And you see it everywhere, change, doing some decision in education and resources and housing and transportation. Can be all together, you realize that it will be impacting. So, policies change all the time. So we have to be aware and as, taking decisions, I think it's important and not only be one person. I think at this point, that's what is a team, it's all together. I believe that it's not only one people that are supposed to be taking, consideration or take a decision. It's open, transparency. We're gonna make sure that everybody be in the same page. Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay.
Please identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal values and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue.
That's the one. Yeah, I think I really believe like maybe sex education, for the people, for the kids, for the community, will be probably one of my strongest. That we could probably will spend some time. I think we probably so many different topics, but sometimes you have to concentrate in whatever you have in mind. And I know everybody has probably top different topics, but work on that. I think it's not just to vote or choose or say, oh, this is an important topic, but kind of a follow and get resources and apply it and get results and what you believe, you should probably follow. Yeah.
Okay, so then the next question is, how would you manage a difficult situation that is in the best interest of the district, but has community opposition?
I think, I think good communication. You know, I think involvement with all the partners, you know, like I would say, the families, you know, teachers, superintendent, office, administrations. I mean, if I miss anybody, I think will be impacting, you know, with your decision. So sometimes it's one of the hard part to do because, you know, you will always get opposition. We're all different, you know, I mean, I wish everybody will thinking the same, but that's what it makes beautiful. You know, I mean, we are unique. And there's nothing wrong, positive or negative, is how we're gonna, you know, decide and take decisions that we are at the same, okay, we're back again. It's impacting the community. Whatever decisions we do is gonna impact people. So I think that's important.
What would you do if you believed administrators had not provided you with accurate and complete information for making a decision?
Okay, can you say it again?
What would you do if
Mhm.
you believed administrators had not provided you with accurate and
Mhm.
complete information for making a decision? And how would you be able to address difficult conversations? This is question number 5.
Number what? 5, okay. You know, I think it's I think open communication, you know, either my experience, you know, when I was doing my community outreach, I had that questions a lot. You know, I find that I think make phone calls, you know, be present, communication, everybody communicate differently. So we have to, you know, I think it's important to be aware that are people that they're more like phone call. There are the people they're easily to be by email. There are the people they need one-on-one connection. So we have to figure it out what would be the best way, you know, to connect and get to the community and to the people and the parents and the family. Like I said, like all at the same time. I think I go back again. Like it's just not how to identify. You know, how identify how we're gonna approach to the community. Everybody is different and think differently, but it's okay. You know.
Next question is number 6. With regard to disparity between school districts, what should be done to distribute resources equitably?
I think for that question, you know, will be a little like, how do you identify the need of each? You know, I think we really probably need to get back to from people they know most, like teachers, you know, that they see the need more than the kids and the families. Of course, communication. Parents, I think the kids communicate very well with parents. I believe they tell you exactly what it is. So I think that's the way to get that information. Kids are very smart, you know, and I think we have to listen in sometimes. You know, what is the need? I think sometimes we go above and think, you know what, we are probably the ones and by taking decision, but sometimes we will be surprised when we get the kids or the family, the grandpa, grandma. You know, I think in this is everybody. We can just address the kids because if we have families, seniors, parents, teachers, superintendents, everybody happy. And what I mean when I say happy is to be on the same page, you know, communicating each other and see the need. I think we all at the end of the day, we're going to be happy. We want to be care. And one of the reasons I'm doing this is because I care. Otherwise, I will not be around here. I have, you know, everybody's busy and I think time is priceless, you know, so we'll never get back your time. So I think it's very important sometimes to think about those ideas and be aware.
Thank you for that response.
Okay.
This is the last question, number 7, or statement really, or prompt. Please summarize the strengths you would bring as a member of the board, sharing current concrete experiences impacting the youth within the Ravenswood School District boundaries.
Well, I think I will apply that a lot to my job. I want to do it that way because probably it will be easier for me. The job I do every day is connecting community, families. Like I said, I mean, if I provide the best services with the seniors, that is my job. But related with this position, related with kids, related with the school, related with my neighborhood, is involvement with the parents, involvement with the kids, involvement with us. We have families. We all want the best for our kids. At the end of the day, education, we always pursue for education. Maybe a lot of you can think, everybody has a story behind us, right? Come from other country, struggles. We all have something to say. At the end of the day, that's what we are here. We are a very strong community. We believe, we have values. I have values. So, I think it is important, back again, like this connection, like maybe you have a potential, maybe you are good in some items, you connecting with some organizations. I do. I'm very good in planning. I do special events. I bring community. I make people happy. People want to be here. At the end of the day, why are we going to be here? We all have a purpose, correct? So the purpose, to do what we do and they keep us every day happy and they want to be here. Why and how we gonna make people to come and showing and do what you do? Why people do what we tell them to do? Because they trust. At the end of the day, it's trust. I trust. And for me to get up every day early to go to work without anybody telling me what to do is because I have a passion. I care. I care about my community. And that's one of the reasons I'm here. Because you know what, I care. I want to get back to my community. I say, I go back again to the same thing. Okay. Hopefully I answer my question. I don't know. I just try to talk from my heart. I think that at the end of the day, I mean, I think is the point. I want you to know me. I want you to understand what is my background. And if I want to do something, I will do it from my heart. Otherwise, I will not do it. Okay.
Thank you. We do have one last question if you want to ask.
Yes.
What questions do you have for the board to help you prepare to take on this commitment if chosen? So do you have any questions for us?
Okay. Yes, actually, yes. I mean, I was really not prepared, but since this is one of my first time, to be in this kind of a panel, I mean, I've been in the school, I've been seeing the teachers, I still in touch with a lot of the parents in the community. And when I see people from all this 2007, people still remember me, right? They still know me. So I think really more than a question, will be more like, I know that like you also have a lot of things to do, you're passionate, you working and doing this from your heart too, I'm pretty sure, because otherwise we will have a very busy life in family. But so what also, or how you will impact from whatever decision you're taking it, right? As a board, so a decision, what is your experience? I mean, how do you see from that side when you see your community? Do you been seeing any difference from all these years you've been around? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's not really like a question, but it will be more like, I don't know you, but maybe you've been experienced a couple of years. Maybe some of you have more experience, some of them they don't. That is something that you like to do, that you really recommend me to do. That probably would be something like that. I don't know if anybody want to answer that.
Does anyone want to start?
Because I want to know.
Starting over here again. So is the question, is it something I would recommend for you to do?
Yeah, like
that
you've
what
been
I'm
experienced,
answering?
I don't know for how long, right? But like, remember that. At the end of the day, I'm the one that I want to take at one point a responsibility, right?
Right.
And then I want to know, I said that I'm taking a right decision to do, that we recommended to do it. I mean, because it's my time, right? Everybody is applying, but at the end of the day, do you recommend me doing it?
Yes.
Yeah, and what?
I've been here 5 years. But
Okay.
then come December, it'll be a full 5 years. And I
Okay.
have 3 more years to go.
Oh, my God.
And, I would recommend it. I would recommend it. I think, I said earlier, I talked about how, it's a challenge to balance all these competing priorities, but it is very fulfilling work. And I think it's just another level of being involved in the community that we all love and that we all live in and, caring for the neighbors, that we see every day. And so I would absolutely suggest it. I would also communicate to folks that if they do want to take this on, to approach it with a sense of responsibility. There are packets, sometimes that are as thick as, this height that you need to read. And there are things that, sometimes you might not have experience with. If you want to talk about how to lease land, or you want to talk about curriculum, or how to think about operational procedures and hiring and governance. So I think people need to be prepared to learn and then also lead. So it's a great, I think, like I said, personal opportunity to also learn and grow and be a service to your community.
Okay.
So I would recommend.
Okay, thanks.
Of course, I would say that I recommend this position. I think a big point that I want to point out is to address this work with a lot of empathy and understanding. We don't have all the answers. It's not our job to pretend like we have all the answers, but we're a group of people that are standing in the divide, willing to put in the work to find the solutions, even if it's a hard conversation, even if it might go against what you personally might believe in, but that it's for the betterment of this institution, Ravenswood City School District. And so, yeah, that's what I want to share.
Well, Trustee Latu has been serving on the board for 3 years in December. I will be serving on the board for 1 year in December, so I'm the newbie around here. And I think you've spoken to a lot of why you yourself should recommend it to yourself. I think everyone up here is very passionate about the community and we care a lot. And if you can bring that and all the stuff that Trustee Shabbat has alluded to, there's a lot of reading, there's a lot of different knowledge bases that it's like a really high learning curve. But if you can come to it with the curiosity, because there's a lot of stuff that we don't know and we can't pretend to know that we know.
Yeah.
But if you're ready to put in the work and ask questions and rely and lean on the experts in the room, like the superintendent and her team, then you can learn rather quickly and trust the people that the rest of you and everyone has put in those places for a reason.
And with the last 38 seconds, I've been on the board for 3 years in December as well. And I think that the experience being on this side is, I think Trustee Nunez said this earlier, is there's so much you don't know that happens behind closed doors because there's so many decisions that have to be made to just continue the work of the district. But at the end of the day, we all do it because we care about our community, because we care about our students, and we want what's best for them and to make our community stronger, our cities stronger, our school districts stronger. So I think just staying committed to the work that you do and continuing to invest in the community is what we do here. So thank you.
All right.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Oh
So-
my God, you're very motivated.
Yes. Thank you so much. The 20 minutes is up. So we are going to move on to the next agenda item. So stand by. And I will, should we take a short 2-minute stretch break? Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So we're going to take a short
For
break.
your time.
Yes. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So at 6:56 PM, I'm going to call a recess and we should be back by 7 PM. Let's be back by 7 PM. Thank you. Welcome back to the Ravenswood City School District Special Board Meeting. We will return to open session at 7:02 p.m. So we are going to move on to item number 5. Is it 5? Sorry, 5B. And we are going to discuss the candidate interviews at this time and speak towards an appointment. Structure wise, maybe we can go through comments on every candidate and then talk about best fit at the end.
I can start with my remarks on the 3 candidates. Is that okay? I am very thankful and grateful that we had such strong candidates. And there are some things that impressed me about all of them. I'll start with the first one. With candidate Sam, I appreciated his overall commitment to the community. He has a history of being in the community and helping the youth in the community. He can also bring a unique perspective from being a Tinsley student to speak about how we can potentially make our school more appealing to parents who are thinking of using that program. With Mr. Moody, there's no denying the community involvement and his public service. And he brings a lot of knowledge into the position, being a former trustee. And with candidate Irel, since we're losing someone from the Bellhaven area, that's probably the biggest plus I have for this candidate, is that they're in the area that we just left to just be from, so she can represent that part of our district. And just her commitment to the school community and to parents and to families. But those are just my initial thoughts. I'm happy to keep discussing.
Thank you.
Through the chair, yeah. I share many of the sentiments shared, or many of the points you just shared, Trustee Nunez. And yeah, I'm trying to figure out what was not said, but maybe instead of trying to do that, I'll just go through again as well. But yeah, from Mr. Tavera, appreciated his leadership in the community and experience there. Is going to be a parent, the work that he's already doing, also his lived experience as a student going through Tinsley and growing up here in the neighborhood. I really appreciated that. I think with Mr. Moody, again, I appreciate his understanding of governance. He clearly has experience and the history as a trustee, as well as a city council member. And I think that could be, that's a plus. And so appreciate that. And then for Misty Najero, when I think about what's missing with former trustee Alexander gone, representing the Bellhaven community, Menlo Park, I think that's a big bonus, and that's something that is missing on our board. Really appreciate her sharing her experience in the community and involvement through the senior center and other avenues, and just really had a gratitude for the heart with which she entered the interview and sharing in anticipation of the work. So where does that leave me? I don't know. I think I'm left with the question about where is the gap, again, with Trustee Alexander gone, and or even, when she was here, what is it that's missing across, us, the folks that are here, that would best, that would best supplement and support all the strengths we bring to the board.
Through the chair, before I start with my comments, I would just like to be very transparent, that I have a very close relationship with both Samuel Tavera and Larry Moody. I have known them for majority of my life, and I've done a lot of work with the both of them. And so I wanted that to be made public first before I make these comments. I will say that, what I say and, my decision is based on what I believe would be the best person to fulfill this empty position that we have on this board. And my decision would be, in my opinion, and my vote would be for the betterment of our district. I'll start with Sam. Sam has a lot of good experience. It's really true what he was saying about, community work being hard work. And he brought in a lot of interesting points. And I think that he would be a benefit to our board. For Larry Moody, he has institutional knowledge and years of experience. And so he is a person that could also fulfill this role. And his commitment to the community, and also, his years of service from 2004, 2008 on this board, is amazing. And then for Miss Tinajero, I loved her personality. I felt like she had a great attitude that could really support conversations on the board level. I feel there's a point, I think it was in question 5, where she asked for clarity on the question. And I thought that was a good attitude to have, because there could be times in which, if we don't hear something or we didn't catch something correctly, we would, there's times you could just go with the flow. But I like that she made it known. She asked for clarity in that point. So I thought that was a really, really great trait. And so, these 3 candidates, I believe, emulate different traits that we are lacking on the board and that we need. But I also will highlight that I did feel that none of the candidates were able to answer questions 2 to 6 thoroughly enough for me to get a good standing on their answers for those 2 questions.
Thank you. I think all of you guys have said everything that I would have said about all 3 of these candidates. I believe all of them are very committed to this community and to the Ravenswood City School District and the members of this community. So I think that that's a plus, that whoever is appointed has that commitment to our communities. I do think that, as was highlighted, Ms. Tinajero has this seat from Belhaven in the sense that she is from there. She has commitments there. She is part of the community, and to have a representative on our board from there, that would be, because Bronwyn left from that same area, is something that I think is a positive. I do think that, again, Samuel has just the experience and the commitment and working with youth, and a parent with kids who will be school age soon, and making those decisions and having that understanding and voice is something that I value. And I think that is something that is really important to also have on our board. And then again, Larry's commitment and historical knowledge and his sphere of influence, I think, is also really important to also have. And his commitment to our community for years, I think is something that has been great and celebrated. And so it is a hard decision. I will say, I think, as Trustee Latu said, I believe some of the questions, I'm not sure if I got a full answer from many of the candidates. So yeah, so I think that we have an interesting discussion to be had. So are there any other comments or leanings or feelings of the next appointed seat?
Through the chair, let's just see it. First, I'll say I think it would be nice to come to consensus about the decision. That would be nice. That's always nice. If we're all
in alignment and sharing the direction that we'd like to go. That would be nice. Second thing I'm wondering about, particularly because I share concerns about some responses weren't as, I think, explicit in terms of like addressing action or ideas as I would like. And so I'm wondering like maybe about possibilities, like what do I do with that? Do we ask follow-up questions? Like maybe I'm asking a question right now, or the boundaries of the process. Like what are those? Like what are the strict boundaries that we have? I know we have, I think, 60 days, to make sure we appoint someone. Yeah, I don't know that I'm asking a question. Maybe the question is about the boundaries. Yeah, but I'm just being transparent with my thoughts right now.
So, sorry, I'm looking at the superintendent. What are the boundaries of making a decision?
So if there is not a majority vote for a specific candidate, because you cannot have a tie, right? Then we would need to, after this evening, reopen the application. And all candidates would have to reapply. And we would have 60 days, calendar days from August 25th, the day, the effective date of Trustee Alexander's resignation, to fill the position.
Thank you for that.
I guess I'm through the chair. I'm new to this side of the podium, and so is there any guidance as to process of what we might do in order to start at least perhaps narrowing down from the three?
The guidance would be what we would like to do. So choose one, or we can have a conversation of maybe we should narrow it down to our top two. Should we do that? And then we can move to the next step, or would you like to just say who you're leaning toward based on the interview? So those are my thoughts right now. I don't know if I could choose my top one at this moment, because I think that each one brings something that we need to this board. And so I'm open to hearing if there are people who have a strong opinion about one person in particular. I would love to hear thoughts.
And through the chair, an opportunity here is maybe discuss specific criteria the board would like to see as a starting point too for conversation beyond the positive remarks shared.
Yeah, through the chair, this is, I was smiling and laughing to myself because I was like, this is the moment that when we talk about it's difficult, this is that moment right now. One of the candidates brought up like, it's your vote and use your vote, don't abstain. I'm like, I would love to abstain right now, but no. So just laughing at that. And I think, okay, in terms of criteria, like what's going to move my thinking forward to come to like a top, again, maybe if I'm thinking about what is missing. So for someone said like Ravenswood of today or today's Ravenswood, like what is missing? Like where do we need the support? Right? When you think about what's potentially on agendas going forward for the rest of this year and next, that might be helpful. And I'm not sure, so that's the question on my mind. I'm not sure. So given that, I might have to come back to candidates to ask something else or to get something else. I'm not sure if I have enough information based on what was shared today. And so, yeah, I don't know if we need to ask that like quote unquote winning question, or I don't know, or submit that as a prompt or something for someone to think about if other people are kind of struggling to order, but maybe everyone might not feel the same, but yeah.
Through the chair, I agree with, trustee Shabonaheen. The only thing is, because we're in agenda item 5B, it's not, it wouldn't be an agendized item, so we couldn't go back for discussion. So it puts us in this boat that we're just trotting on. Through the chair, from my standpoint, and where I'm leaning right now is, in my thought process is this: I want to choose a person that could come on this board and be currently prepared to go through the thick of it and where our current board is. I know that's a big ask, but we're in the middle, this is the middle of that term. And so this seat would be here for another year and a half. And we have, as a board, a lot of impending decisions, and the district needs to continue to move forward. And so, I don't think I'm ready to make a one choice. But I think if I'm going to narrow it down to a top two, my top two right now would be Larry Moody and Sam Tavera.
Trustee Latu, sorry, if I made you jump, just to reiterate your point for the other trustees is because of where we are as a district, you would want a trustee to be able, a new candidate to be able to come in and hit the ground running. And the two top candidates at this time for you are Larry Moody and Sam Tavera.
Thank you. Any other?
I think, I'm torn because I'm with you, trustee Latu. We want to get going. Think, Moody and Tavera would be my top two. It's just really hard to let go of the Bellhaven connections. And so I don't want to waste that. And so that's why I don't think I think my top two would be Irel and one of the gentlemen. Just because I'm not ready to let go of that boundary area and the connections that are there. And to speak up to last meeting where we're trying to get a board retreat to actually onboard new people, me included. I don't see the lack of knowledge for how governance works quite yet as a huge hindrance, in my opinion, because I'm just asking questions and I still don't know how it works, and I've been doing okay, I hope. And I've been supported by the people in power. I don't even know if I can narrow down from the big. Yes. But so I'm hoping we can discuss.
I think I feel the same way as trustee Nunez. But I also believe that every single one of us does consider and represent the Menlo Park area, even if we don't live there, and the Bellhaven community. However, I will say that her connection to the Bellhaven community is very deep in the sense that she is working currently with long-term residents who may know the Ravenswood of yesterday, but doesn't know the Ravenswood of today right now. And I think that we have an opportunity to shine that through that connection. So I agree with Trustee Nunez that it's hard for me to even, like I said before, narrow to a top two, because I think every single person, again, brings something to the table. And I also know that even if we did end up with someone with Samuel Tavera or Larry Moody, that they would also wholeheartedly represent and consider the Bellhaven community. So yes, that doesn't help us move forward, but that is what I think right now.
Through the chair, would it be possible to find a happy medium where we come up with questions we would want to ask and have them at a future meeting so that they're identified of the candidates or our top two or wherever we get to. But that way we get more information, because it feels like we're not ready. Like to be like, yeah, it's that person. And if we're feeling that way, then maybe we need more time to digest. Maybe this is where we, between now and the next meeting, we hear from community. We hear from constituents. We come up with the questions that we're missing, and that like gear us towards a decision, and ask those questions in an upcoming meeting. This is a proposal. I'm not sure if we can do this.
Through the chair, per Ed Code 5091, we have a 60-day process from the last meeting. And so if we don't come to consensus with any of these three, then we would start the process over again. So we can invite them to reapply, but we would have to reconfigure the questions in the applications. Yeah.
We could keep the questions the same in the application. I don't think that necessarily needs to change, but they definitely would have to reapply, and then we would start the whole process again.
Through the chair, yeah, I'm not opposed to, forcing us to move ahead if we can get someone we all agree on today, or coming back to it in a future meeting. I'm not opposed either way. But I will say that again, going back to what's missing, I believe that I am settling more on like who is going to best, and I know we don't know until you're in the thick of it, but who will best help us think boldly and bravely and, effectively about issues related to student development and achievement. Like that's what's on my mind actively right now. Like who's ready to come in here with a bold mission and the strength to be involved in the ideation process of, what those bold solutions are, who can drive that through community connections, through community voice and relationships, through the stewarding of our resources. And to your point, Trustee Latu, about coming in ready to roll. And I don't know that I have, the best information, to say this person for sure. But again, just sharing what's on my mind as I'm going through it. Okay. Yeah. That said, I'm trying to think about who here has experience with children or in education. And I think, and it's not just about with children, right? Because you're talking about governance of an institution and everything that comes there. But I think that could further, my decision making and dwindling down to two, and that might be Mr. Tavera and Mr. Moody when I think about their experience in the organizations that they're in now. Although Miss Tina Heda also has experience in, in the community organizations, but yeah, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm just talking out loud and rambling. But perhaps the first two, again, Samuel and Larry might have more experience, but I'm not sure. Not sure.
I think as you were speaking, trustee Stripman, you've swayed me in a direction. Because when you said something about connected to our students, can think through their framework and put them first, that automatically took me to Sam's interview, where he's talked about all of the ways that he's still involved, from like when they're really young to like the high school, and trying to ideate ways to like catch issues that we're seeing in high schools earlier on. And so, and that's not the only thing, but when you were talking, I was like, oh yeah, you're gonna talk. Oh yeah, you're gonna talk. And so I think your commentary is starting to push me towards Mr. Tavera.
So I'm going to repeat the questions that I've heard trustee Chabot-Maheen say, which I think is helping us make decisions moving towards something. She asked, what is missing? What do we need for today's Ravenswood? And I believe trustee Latu also asked some of these questions. And then specifically you said, think boldly, bravely about student achievement and what's best for kids. And then a strength to be involved in the ideation process to drive forward those things with the connections. And then one of the other questions was choose a person and be currently prepared. And I believe this was trustee Latu, currently prepared to go through where our current board is. And so I think with that, I also am leaning more towards the same top two that everybody else has said, which was Larry and Sam. Because the work with the youth and then driving our process forward. So I think maybe we can keep talking a little bit more with these top two. And see if we can find consensus on one. But I'm also open to if we need to ask them more questions. Because do we have to start the process all over, or could we ask them questions at a later date and make a decision at a later date, or how would that work?
My understanding is that you do not have to take action. Because so there's no determination of if there's a tie or not. And so what could potentially happen is then we decide that additional questions are needed for the final candidates to shift through thoughts more.
And that's if we need it, if we feel like after all this, we need it.
We get legal. Usually legal counsel's here. Yeah, because I think that would be a follow-up question, definitely.
Any more questions or comments, discussion? Because I think, didn't you guys, sorry, trustee Chabot-Maheen, you're the institutional knowledge right now. The last time this happened for the appointment, didn't you guys do a straw, you wrote it down and sent it down? No.
I feel like we just talked it out until we got to the end. I don't recall like writing something down. Yeah, I think we just talked because I remember it being very uncomfortable talking about two great candidates that I'm sitting next to. But yeah.
I do remember, sorry, through the chair.
Yes.
We were in a room with like 5 different people. And it was narrowed down to us 2. And then we're called back and asked additional questions. And then the choice is made.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering,
Through the chair, when I checked back on the notes, it's because it was agendized. So if we would have added it at the beginning of the agenda, it would have been different, but because we finalized as is, it gets.
Yeah, so through the chair, with that, sorry to keep hitting the mic. Yeah, everything's, all the thoughts are public and we're saying them on the mic. That's what I'm trying to get to, like writing down. And then I think if it's possible, right, then maybe we should give ourselves that opportunity to come back and ask that extra thing that's going to push a decision. But yeah, again, that's if it's possible. Unless, again, there are people who are feeling like they know who their number one is and can start to talk more about that.
Do we have,
And I ask the trustees to consider something else as well, not necessarily the decision-making process, but in regards to us working as a governance team, was there a candidate that shared how they would participate as a governance team member that resonated with you all?
Through the chair. Superintendent Sudaria, is there a potential candidate here that might, that you found had any qualities that you think you would want to highlight for us trustees that maybe we're overseeing?
Like how you brought that back to me, but just also
I value your input.
also to answer your question about, I got legal counsel to confirm that we can bring back the 2 finalists for additional questions. Yes. To answer your question very explicitly, what resonated with me, everything you said about Ms. Tina Hero was the fact that she is a representative from the Bellhaven area. But yes, as a governance team, we represent all of our families across Ravenswood. With Lily Moody, what resonated with me was the fact that, the role as a board member is to take action, is to represent and to take action when it comes to difficult decisions. In addition to how he addressed number 5, even though it was quite quick, in regards to how to manage information that might not be complete and accurate, and to go straight to the employee that they are fully responsible for. And I really appreciated having that direct communication as a response. For Mr. Sam Tavera, what resonated with me was knowing that as a board member, he represents constituents that have elected him, or obviously people would go to him to help advocate for certain policies and what have you. But he emphasized the importance of working as a governance team and how collectively we can be effective as a team to behoove Ravenswood. And so he did emphasize how to be a team player in this process. And the prospect of having a trustee with a future student in Ravenswood.
through the chair. Yeah. To add, about why I'm leaning towards, Mr. Tadero. There were some points of his answer that I was quoting and I wrote them down verbatim. Some of them were like looking beyond the moment of decisions. checking between a heart choice and a head choice. And then I feel like, to be fully transparent, when I saw his name, I was like, "Ah, he was really here for the sampling stuff with the Interfaith Network." And I was, my one reservation about him would be, well, what if he's in this place where like we have a student that wouldn't be part of his faith or something, you know, like would faith come in between like decisions that we make and how we support our students? But in the interview, he made a lot of points where like he talked about, well, what's best for the community, not based on my beliefs, but based on like the students. And then letting data drive decisions makes my math heart really happy. And him considering who's not being represented. And these are all quotes like that I was writing as he was speaking in his interview, which allayed any reservations that I had coming into this process.
Thank you. Trustee Shabonine looks like she wants to say something.
No.
Sorry, Trustee Latu, she made eye contact with me a few times.
I was just reacting to the data statement. All respect to mathematicians and statisticians everywhere, but I am one who likes to be data informed rather than data driven, because I know numbers, if we're talking about only numbers, they can lie. I know people say they can't. They can tell the wrong story if you don't have the full picture of things. And so, yeah, I was just reacting to that, yeah.
Sorry, side note, that's hilarious because we were just talking about that in my data science class.
Trustee Latu, do you want to share anything? So I will also summarize just so that we are all on the same page. Trustee Nunez, Vice President Nunez has said she is leaning towards Sam. So we have one person who is leaning towards one person now.
Through the chair, I feel like I've also made a decision. And this is based on what the superintendent said and the other trustees at this table is, we're a fairly new board. And it's really important. And I'm speaking for myself as a person who came in during a transitional time. We're still transitioning, of course, but when I think about the position on this board, it's so important that we have someone that can come in here and have hard conversations, but we have the same understanding that we put our district first before ourselves, in a sense. And when Vice President Laura shared that quote, I kind of forgot about it until you said it. The checking between a heart choice and a head choice, and making the best decision for our community. And so I am also leaning towards Sam as well. And this is really hard because they come with two very different but beneficial aspects to them, where they're both very connected in two different organizations. And they're both very involved in the faith community. And I believe both of them can do a great job. But if I were to go off of the interview that we had earlier, I felt like if I had to choose between the two who highlighted more of the points that I was looking for, it was Sam. And so I'm gonna lean towards Sam.
Thank you. I feel me and Pam are just going to have a stare down until one of us speaks. Yeah. Yes.
I was just going to share that it seems like we have a final two candidates
Yes.
at this point in time.
Yes. And two trustees have chosen a final one. And Me and trustee Shivomi, you have not. I think this is where it's both heart and head choices for us. I know for me personally, having someone who is committed to the district and committed to the point of wanting their kids in the district or having had their kids in the district is a very important point for me, because I think that it changes, not changes, I think it makes every decision deeper, a deeper decision. It makes the responsibility a deeper responsibility. And it also just being able to be on campus as a daily part of your life. To see the actions that we take here enacted on campus, I think is really important. And I know Larry has had his kids in the district and he's very still connected to many students and families in the district, but also just hearing Sam talk about wanting to bring that parent voice and to serve, I think is something that I resonate with. And I believe that was like one of my platform pieces that I ran way back in the day was to be that parent voice. So I don't want to be the one that makes the decision without, and I think also just, but I know like Mr. Moody said, we got to make decisions. Tam, when you said think boldly, bravely about student achievement and have a strength to be involved in that ideation process to drive it forward with connections. I just, the connections of when we asked Sam to share his strengths, I think that was something that he really highlighted here. I can stop talking so you can talk. Okay. I said, like, I would have gladly taken that bell to be like, just be done, Jenny. Yeah, so I mean, I think that it's a really hard choice to make because I think that both of these people value our community and will be a voice for our community to push initiatives forward. When I think about bringing up new leaders in our community, I think that that's also something that is important. And so I truly do, I mean, I am leaning more towards Sam. And that is to some extent all of us, but I mean, the majority of us. But I am open before I say that's the final choice to hear if you have anything else that we should consider or comments before we move.
The chair. Yeah, it's so difficult. And I'm still kind of waiting for that thing that just like strongly pushes me to one side versus the other. Because I believe that both of these candidates, when we're talking about our top two, could do potentially a good job. Could help lead us in some good directions. I do feel like I do appreciate the experience of Mr. Moody as a former trustee and a city council. And by that, I'm saying like his knowledge of like procedure, knowledge of governance, knowledge of things that impact this community called Ravenswood. I do appreciate that. So I feel like he's coming in with a bird's eye view of some things That is really important. And so like, it kind of excused me towards Mr. Moody in that way. Yeah, when just like understanding like that relationship between, you brought this up, Superintendent Sudaria, understanding the relationship between a superintendent and the board versus staff and the board. Like I was like, I wrote that down too. And that was just like an explicit example of like understanding the nuance of what does it mean to be on a school board. Even thinking about, it was the question around the state and engagement with the state and bringing up the issue of like teacher evaluation and assessment. Like those were things I just really appreciated. Like they just rang a bell for me. Because it just signaled some or deeper understanding of some of the things or the underlying sources of some of the things you see at the surface. You know what I mean? And without understanding like the restrictions that ed policy can put on movement within a district, sometimes you might choose something or come to a decision or come to an opinion based on things that, you know, don't really matter. Because at the end of the day, like I said, you have to consider policy. And that kind of governs how we can move as a governing board institution. So like, I really appreciate that. So I might be leaning that way because of that, versus sort of, you know, here, even though, like I said, I don't think you can undervalue at all someone's experience as a student growing up in this community, you know, going through Tinsley, being a parent, being a leader, like that's amazing as well. I just felt like that nuanced understanding was missing, which you can get. So again, I'm talking to myself here. You can get, and you will get it quickly as soon as you sit down and start seeing how you can move and what you can do and what you can't. Yeah. And my hope is that whoever's here is just able to really and truly try to check the personal, even though it's all very personal, but the personal ways in which we think things should go, and try to, again, look with that bird's eye view and think about all folks, all constituents, all pieces of the puzzle versus the things that we would necessarily like ourselves. And also be a representative voice of community. That's my hope for whoever's here. And I can't gauge, I don't feel prepared to gauge that from, you know, some notes on a paper or whatever was said in 20 minutes. I know y'all probably feel similarly. So I personally would vote for let's have the one more thing that really just like sinks it home for us. But that's me. Those are my ideas, but I'm also prepared as a member of this governing body to move in alignment and move in unity going forward with what we all want together too. So know that also. I'm sorry, I voted for Lauda when you guys were here a few years ago, but I moved forward with you, Trustee Latu. I know, I got it.
Hey, we ran together.
Oh yeah, again, I was interested.
Please.
To summarize, right now we have 3 trustees who are leaning towards Sam Tavera and Trustee Shabal Maheen, who is willing to consider moving forward in alignment with the rest of the trustees. But it seems like we're prepared to maybe entertain a motion.
Thank you. Before I entertain a motion, can I just hear from the other 2 trustees after Trustee Shabal Maheen shared of where you are leaning is it a strong leaning towards Sam, or is it we would like to ask a few more questions and invite them back?
Through the chair, I'm gonna stay on my lean. Because if there was a moment that I felt like, kind of like outweighed the other, it was the beginning of the interview.
Thank you. Sorry,
I'm still,
lean.
yeah.
I will go with what my leaning was, which was to, as well as I spoke before, Trustee Shimomi spoke, that I will also lean towards Sam to join the team. Yes, we'll leave it at that. And I also, like I said, I think that every single one of these candidates brought something that we need, and it's a very hard decision to make. So I will entertain a motion.
Through the chair for item 5B, I move to approve the appointment of Samuel Tavera to fill the provisional seat.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All abstain? Motion carries 4-0.
Through the chair, this is a question of clarification for the superintendent. Don't we need legal to swear in? No?
So I would like to say congratulations to Mr. Samuel Tavera. And we can bring them back or bring him back. I don't know if they'll want to come back or not, but we should bring them back. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, maybe we can take like another, should we take another recess so that, or do we want to just have them come back? A 5-minute break? Because we would be swearing him in right now. Mhm. Yeah.
We informed, yes, so we informed, sorry,
Sorry, go ahead.
we could if there's enough time, however long we want to wait, but the candidates did know that we were going to appoint. If we were able to come to a consensus, we would appoint and also swear.
Through the chair, yeah, I would be a fan of letting them know and then having like a tiny break that we were just considering, so that if someone is in the recent area, recent or close area, sorry, and they can roll through.
Yes. So we'll tell him first and then we'll see if we need a recess or not. So. Yeah, let's bring them in one by one. Gina, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm just not talking. Well, I guess there are only 2 of us in the room, so it's okay. But I was trying not to. Well, there we go. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So they can all come in and we'll say thank you. Yes, we're still live.
How old are they?
Since there is, okay, since there's the majority, since we do have quorum right now, I'm going to send this into recess. So it is 7:58 and we will go into recess. We will be back by 8:05 possibly. Thank you. Please stand by. Welcome back to the Ravenswood City School District Special Board Meeting. I will call us back to order at 8:09 p.m. So we are on item number 6 because we as the board voted on item number 5B to appoint Samuel Tavera to this seat. And so we are going to move on to the swearing in of the new Ravenswood City School District Governing Board trustee.
All right, trustees, I have Samuel Tavera here along with his family, his wife, father, and sister, and we will do the oath. With your right hand. You can come up closer. This is my first time doing this as well. I, Samuel Tavera,
I, Samuel,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of California.
that I will take this obligation freely
I will take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you. So we do have time for anyone who wants to make a remark regarding this agenda item. So I will, well, we don't have cards, but you'll fill them out after eventually. Yeah. So if you would like to say anything, please do come up. You have 2 minutes to speak if you would like. And I think that Sam can join us. Yeah, Sam, you need to come join us on the dais because you are now a trustee of the Ravenswood City School District Board. And just for everybody, know there's 2 minutes, so keep you to the 2-minute time limit.
Okay. So to the trustees and to our newly appointed trustee, Samuel, I've known you a long time. We've identified you as a leader in this community a decade or so ago. You are a more than capable individual to serve on the Ravenswood School District Board as a trustee. But more importantly, I know that you're going to bring a personal value, right, to this board in such a way that not only will you have a high learning curve, and you certainly will have mentorship from the 4 trustees that are there, but I also know that you've been studying for such a time as this for a long time. They might not know the level of mentorship that you have had over the years that brings you to this appointed place. I know that you're going to support the district every way that you can. I know that you're going to be a strong advocate for Superintendent Sadaria. And I know that every child that's in the Ravenswood School District will get your heartfelt efforts and prayers, right, each and every day. This is really a nice addition to a group that is committed to serve this district, right? I'm so proud of you. Thank you for your willingness to serve. Our other candidate would have been more than capable as well. She was just an amazing individual. We probably had more fun in the back than you guys did up front, right? Deliberating over this, but God bless you. I'm still here, right? Ravenswood all day, every day. I've actually already signed up for the community gathering and convening, and we never leave the children alone, right? And so you have that in common with your other 4 colleagues, right? And they'll train you well, right? My last comment, there's my 2 minutes. My last comment to you: read your agenda packet, right? And if there's anything that you're not aware of, go see the superintendent, right? That's your obligation and your responsibility to the position that you hold, right? Never walk into a meeting ill prepared, because your yay or nay is going to impact the direction of the district, right? And that's your obligation. Read your agenda packet. Sometimes it's overwhelming. It's daunting, but you're more than suited for such a time as this. God bless you, my brother. All right.
Sorry. Yes.
Hi, I'm Karina Tavera, wife, and I'm really proud, and I'll be very brief, but I'm really excited for you and the board. You know, you did not make a bad decision today. You have such a hardworking, humble servant, and he leads with his passion and passionate heart. And I know that, you know, he's already made connections in the community with the youth. And of course, our local church. So I'm excited that he, you know, that the youth are maybe watching, are seeing him here as a leader. And I'm excited for that. And again, I'm just so proud of you. I'm here to support you. And yeah, thank you.
Does anyone else want to share? No, nobody else wants to share. Okay. Any of the trustees, do you have any?
Yes, through the chair. Before I start, I just want to thank Miss Tinajero and Larry Moody for putting your applications in. You know, it took a lot of heart and a lot of time to really fill out these packets. And, you know, I just want to continue to commend you for your continued presence within the community. I've known you since I was like a kid. And so, you know, even in the time when you should be vacationing in the island, you're still at almost every single community meeting I'm at, or a community convening, really putting yourself in that position. And I just want to commend you and thank you for coming through the process. All love, always. And to our new trustee, Trustee Tavera, welcome. You have board members and staff who are here for you. Your success is a part of the success of this board. And so we are going to help you if you need help. We're going to offer, not breaking quorum, of course, not breaking any Brown Act laws, but, you know, we are here to support you and make sure that you're as successful as possible. And, you know, thank you for this commitment that you're making to the district. And I look forward to working with you to, you know, continue to improve Ravenswood. I'm excited for you.
Through the chair, it's always difficult to go when other people have said and shared the comments that you'd like to share, but here we go. Thank you, Trustee Latu. So I'll first start off by saying congratulations. It's a pleasure to have you here on my right. Hopefully I won't distract you from the presentations and such, but I do want to thank you as well as Ms. Tinajero, as well as former trustee and former council member Moody for, you know, applying, as Trustee Latu said, because I think, number one, there's something to be committed, right, to a work, which we are, I think is evident between the three of you, like you're committed to the community and all of that. It's another thing, I think, to say, and it takes some vulnerability to say, I'm going to put myself out there to be considered for something in a very public setting at that. And so I don't know that I would do it per se again, ever, especially this format. Something about this versus being like elected, it's like, it just feels very different. So I just want to thank you for that. Thank y'all for being that committed that you'd put yourself out there like that. And it was a very difficult decision. I don't know if y'all listened, y'all say y'all were having fun. So y'all weren't listening because y'all were having fun. So like, it was a very difficult thing. It was a very difficult task. And I think we committed to it and, you know, committed to a decision per some of the things we heard in the interviews, like, you know, saying you have a vote, use it, drive yourself to make a decision, all of that. So I appreciate that. And that came from you, Mr. Moody. I appreciate that going into the remaining, you know, years on my term, like keeping that top of mind. Yeah, and I just look forward to the continued work together. And I know it's going to keep happening on your end. You know, like you clearly can't just sit down and chillax. You're going to be in everything. Ever since I've known you, and I've known you pre-children before I was a mom. Yeah, exactly. And so that was a long time ago. If I take off the hat, you'll see it's a long time ago. And you've always been involved, right? You've always been a community member, mentor and leader. And I really appreciate that of you. And I'm thankful to have you here. And I'm thankful that you applied to fill this role. So thank you. And thank you to your family for being here in support of our new trustee as well. I'm sure we'll see y'all too. Probably gonna be at y'all's house. Haven't noticed. And so, yeah, looking forward to it. And congratulations again to you. And yeah, I wish you the best. Yes.
I just want to say, congratulations. I think if you do watch the YouTube, since y'all are having fun, I really appreciated your interview and how you have a way of allaying any reservations that I ever had. And I really look forward to your viewpoint and the different the background that you have and the different places that you've been that can help inform how we can move forward as a district in order to shine in the way that we're supposed to be shining. Not supposed to, we're already shining, but everyone needs to see it. And so I really appreciated that in your application as well. Like, I look forward to working together and changing the public perception of what the old, and I loved your phrase, Mr. Moody, the new Ravenswood or the Ravenswood of today, because it's not the perception that people have. And then I do want to thank your grandmother, I think you said, and then your mother, for instilling in you that, because my parents didn't, but it's the same comment, like, el que no sirve, no sirve. And so I really appreciate another person who, we can't say born and raised in EPA, but we can dang near say it, because we were pretty much here our whole life. And so I really appreciate another person, and now there's many of us, that has been here, has lived here, and can continue to see the future that we want to see and affect change, so that those visions and dreams of our community can come true. So I look forward to the next year and a half and hopefully more.
Thank you. First, I want to say thank you for all three of the candidates, Ms. Tina Harrow, who had to leave, and Mr. Moody and Mr. Tavera. Thank you so much for your applications, Trustee Tavera. Thank you so much for your applications, for putting in the work. I specifically want to just say thank you to Larry for always being a supporter of the leadership and growing the leadership within this community. I think that all of us up here have been impacted by the leadership and the investment that you have made to make sure that our city and our community and the Ravenswood community is somewhere where everybody is welcomed, everybody's voice matters. And we are people who come together to make sure that voices who are not heard are heard. And you have always been that for us in this community, and you are still that for us in this community. So I do want to say from my heart, it was a very difficult decision to make. And just knowing that you will always be our cheerleader and our amplifier of the Ravenswood of today, and to share that what this board is doing and what our superintendent is doing, what our teams are doing, what our teachers are doing, what every single person that is committed to Ravenswood is doing. And we know that we have that person in you, no matter what, whether you're sitting on this side of the dais or that side, or whether if you're on the council or you're not on the council, you are still a member of this community, and you are always someone who amplifies that voice. So I just want to say thank you for that. And like all of our trustees have said, you just don't know how to relax, you or Lisa. But we just thank you so much for that continued investment, even in this time when you guys are supposed to be riding off into the sunset and retiring, that you guys are riding off in the sunset here with us, and continuing to carry our your dreams forward for this community, and giving us that utmost confidence in us carrying your dreams forward for this community. So thank you so much for that. that doesn't go past me. And then also to just know that Samuel, that Larry was one of your mentors as well, and just that he's known you forever as well. It's something that I am looking forward to working with you, and just knowing that some of the things that you said were part of my platform when I ran, of just being a parent voice, making sure that our community knows that our school district and our community, the schools in our community are going to be as good as the community that's in it, and that we want to be that parent voice, and to bring that perspective here, to know that we have kids that are growing up here, and how can we make sure that the places that they go to in our city, in our communities, in Bellhaven, in East Palo Alto, that these places are places that we proudly say, yes, I go to Ravenswood City School District. And I know my kids do that everywhere they go. And I hope that as the young parents on this board, as you guys are raising up your kids, that you guys also have that experience in those conversations with your children. But I also do appreciate the deep investment you have in this community, the ways that you are already connecting with youth, and even just knowing what our youth are dealing with on a personal level, and having that personal relationship to bring that here, and to share that knowledge and that growth with us, I think is something that I look forward to. And I look forward to hearing your voice and your advocacy, and sharing that, what Trustee Nunez was saying, right? Making our community and the dreams that you all had as children come true together. So thank you so much for applying. Thank you so much for all the work you're going to do. I want to specifically say thank you so much to your wife and your family, because it is a time of sacrifice, because he is sacrificing the time that he could spend with you guys to our community and our children. And I truly believe that when we share that love, and our love of our neighbor and the love of our neighbor's kids, that does make our community stronger. So thank you so much to you guys as a family, to give that sacrifice of your time and your family time to our community, to make our community an even better place. So thank you so much. Yeah. And do you want to say anything? I know that we kind of rushed you through everything and you said a lot, but.
Well, thank you for everyone who's here. Thank you for everything that's been shared and the advice that you all shared when I was interviewing. I'm going to take that to heart. This is very humbling. My wife said I'm a very passionate person, and I don't know why. It's just who I am. Just very humbling. My wife knows it because I told her as soon as our daughter was born, and now my son, I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders to ensure that my children are okay for the rest of their life. And as soon as Superintendent Siddhartha came in and told us that, again, my mentor, Larry here, said, now it's not just 2 children that you have to worry about, it's thousands. And I feel that pressure, but it's a good pressure because it drives me to ensure that my children, and now the children of our community that I'm serving, are okay. And this is just so humbling. I'll just stop there, and I'm appreciative of this, and I appreciate the vote of confidence. And so thank you. And I look forward to serving and learning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm gonna move us on to adjournment. So it is now 8:27 p.m. and I am adjourning the Ravenswood City School District Special Board Meeting of